Welcome to the Slammers Podcast. This podcast, its authors, and its hosts are not in any way sponsored, licensed, or endorsed by, affiliated with, or connected to the Golf Association of Philadelphia or any of its affiliates. The Golf Association of Philadelphia and its affiliates do not endorse or support this podcast, the authors or hosts contributing to this podcast, or any of the content or opinions expressed herein. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely and exclusively those of the authors and hosts and do not represent or reflect the policies, views, positions, or opinions of the Golf Association of Philadelphia or any of its affiliates.
Welcome to the Slammers Podcast. I am Bo Garino, joined as usual by my co-host Ben Litt. We just got off the course. Another hot day out there. We are now in the bowels of the Little Mill locker room. And it's I can't see you standing here too long. This episode might not be too long.
Right, yeah, we're bordering on coming live from an undisclosed location down here, for sure, more than anything identifiable. So.
We got some stuff coming up. We want to talk about that. We want to talk about the Jersey Open coming up, the Jersey M, which happened, the Philly Open, and then Club Championship season. So We got a few things to add there.
Yep.
What do you want to start with?
You going to start Gap Open? You start from the top here?
Yeah, that's probably the most fresh in our mind. So the Gap Open just concluded earlier this week. John Rusk of Lulu Country Club, the Lou, was the eventual winner in a 4-hole playoff. I first want to come out and say good for John. I really am happy for him. The guy's a good player, and he hasn't won anything in a long time.
He had that close call at the Philly Am.
Yep.
Back a couple of years ago, but, hats off.
Second place of the Mid-Am this year. So it's good to see someone that was knocking at the door come in and finally get that win, because we know how maddening this game is. And like he was saying in even some of his interviews, he hasn't won a really major tournament in over 20 years.
Yeah.
And the guy's very good. So once again, it just shows you how hard this game is and how hard it is to get a win. So happy for him. Really played well in that playoff. I think he played, 2 under, I think, in those 4 holes, which obviously when the lights are bright is very good.
Yeah, it started off eagle birdie, right? Chipped in and then made birdie on the second hole, and then, kind of landed the plane pretty easy. I'm looking at the Gap website now. The headliner here is Lulu's Rusk survives the playoff. I don't know. I think he did a little bit more than survival there. He kind of went out and took it, right?
Yeah, he had a 2-shot lead after 1 hole, a 3-shot lead after 2. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
What are some of the reports you heard from the grounds there? I know we've spoken with a few guys.
Yeah, honestly, we've had a pretty rough summer as far as rain goes. Lack of rain, really, really hot, and that Tuesday day, it's kind of jarring looking at your weather app and seeing 3 triple digits there. It was 101, the high, right? And all of the reports I got from players playing in the Open was it was firm and it was fast, and there was definitely some wind to be had out there. So, hats off to the Applebrook grounds crew. They had that thing flying. It was unbelievable. So it's definitely hard this time of year to get courses in great condition, and we're kind of suffering from that over on the Jersey side here. But it's great to hear they provided a championship setup for the players out there.
Yeah, those guys are best in class. You never hear anybody say they went to Applebrook and the conditions weren't good for the season. It's like they maximize whatever the season offers.
Exactly.
You go there in the fall and the greens are 13.5s in concrete, right? In the summer, obviously, they're going to be scaled back a little bit, but they're still 11.5s or whatever they were for the Open firm. Those guys certainly know what they're doing.
Yeah, it's the best form that they could possibly get them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and from a difficulty standpoint, it seems like that course, it needs to play firm and fast because the difficulty really lies in the second shots. And once again, the greens kind of come alive, and those second shots come alive when the greens are getting that first bounce and a little wind. If that place is a dartboard, it's not going to be very challenging for a better player.
Yeah.
It's pretty wide open off the tee. It's not overly long, right? So if you don't put any onus in hitting the fairway and hitting the proper shots into the greens, then that place can become a dartboard pretty quickly.
Yeah, it was nice to see the winning score 4 under par. Rusk shot 66-70 and then was in that playoff with Andrew Cornish out of Cedarbrook, Zach Drescher out of Bent Creek again, so going for 2 majors of the year. Those guys both fired a pair of 68s. So I don't know. I like to see a score around -4 winning score as opposed to last year with Lookaway just getting blitzed. What was it? 10 under? Was that the winning score? It was
I
something
think so.
high. It
Yeah,
was something high.
shot 10 or 11. Yeah. No, I agree. That's you want your open to be a little bit closer to even par. I'm not saying you want to beat the guys up too bad out there, but 10 under is a little jarring for 2 rounds, right? To crown your in your city championship.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it seemed like going into that playoff that there was going to be some Player of the Year implications, and I'm just looking at the Player of the Year standings now. John Rusk is in the lead with 493 points, followed by Austin Barbin at 475, and Zach Dresser at 425. And that was a 150-point swing. If Zach wins, he gets 300.
Mm-hmm.
John gets 225, right? And that really gives him a commanding lead going into the final major of the year. So, yeah, that's just that tournament just felt like really a season maker for Rusk.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know how in those Gap videos and all those videos, a lot of times they pick shots that are just funny. Like it's like the guy won and they're showing him like chopping out a fescue, right? That's twirling his club around.
That's Tony's artistic flair. We know Tony.
No, it's fun. It's fun.
It's
I love it. But in this video, the one with Rusk was just bizarre. Did you see that?
Yeah, I mean, swing after swing, there was always one hand off the club. It was really weird. I'm probably dating myself here, but it harkens back to like Lance Berkman and Miguel Tejada in those home run derbies back in the mid 2000s. I mean, just like really just pimp stepping. Like I don't know what was going on there.
Well, I'm not an Instagram guy, but is that a swing trend right now on Instagram? I mean, is there?
I don't know. I'd have
I
to
know
ask
Mike
the kids
Brown.
about that.
Mike Brown does it sometimes, right? Maybe
Okay.
it seems more to like maybe just save the shot a bit, whatever. But
Sure.
it almost seems like Rusk was going to the one hand and then almost wanted to drop it down and twirl it down that left hand that he was hitting onto, right? It seemed like it was purposeful, right?
Right. Yeah. It just happened so often. Yeah, and it happened over and over again in that video. So it really does make you wonder.
I mean, it was a hot day. Was he having a hard time controlling the club?
Right. That's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the cut feel. I don't know if he's just trying to hold it off, like the Patrick
Reed
doing
Masters
the helicopter.
18, yeah, but it didn't look too coptery. Like there wasn't a whole lot of hand action.
No.
It looked pretty stable through impact, right?
Right, and then the hand was
Not a
just
lot of
instantly
twist.
off.
Right,
Yeah, the hand was just instantly off. So.
Yeah, it's very.
I don't know.
I would love to ask him about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
it's like I said, maybe it's something that's trending. Maybe that's what they're teaching over there at Lulu. I don't
Could
know.
be.
But
Who knows?
We'd try anything at this point.
Absolutely.
What were some of the analytics out there from a hole by hole standpoint?
Yeah, I actually wanted to flip it around and ask you just off the cuff here. Obviously, the par at Applebrook was 70.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the scoring average for the week was?
The week, man, I honestly did not dive too much into the analytics.
No, that's why I
this
asked.
is completely like you said off the cuff. I'm
Yeah.
gonna say 75.8.
73.6.
Ooh, that's crazy.
Isn't that low?
That is low.
That seems so low.
Yeah, the guy trots around there in 3 over. The average guy, right? It's a par 70.
Yeah, par
Yeah,
70.
That's pretty good golf. Yeah,
The cut was 3 over 2. That just seemed low to me, doesn't it?
it does. Yeah.
Some other funny things here. It looks like, as far as others go on the whole golf course, no hole had more than 3 others. I'm sorry, 4 others.
Okay.
Except for the 14th hole, which had 8 others.
That's the par 4, right?
Yeah.
With the hazard on the left.
Yeah,
And but
460.
still, making other on that's kind
Yeah,
of
and 8. I mean, that's far and away the most on the week.
maybe into the wind. You hit a quick one and then you drop, and then it seems more like a double hole than an other hole. Like
Yeah.
worst case scenario when you run it through your head, but
Right.
I mean,
Right.
goofy stuff happens out there.
Yeah, and then again, staying true to gap form. 18, the number 1 handicap hole all week, playing to only 0.4 of a shot over par. But again, 18th hole playing the most challenging.
That's how you want it. Yeah.
Gap is what 4 for 4 in this. Every 18th hole in the majors have played the hardest hole of the tournament.
White Marsh, Commonwealth, North
North
Hills in the
Hills.
qualifier,
Yeah.
and then and then Applebrook.
Yeah.
You wonder how much of that. I wish you can quantify how much of that is pressure to guys just trying to finish the round and
Yeah.
get in the house. I mean, there's obviously somewhat of that element, but there are also 4 hard golf holes as well.
Yeah. Another cool thing I saw, most eagles on the week was the 3rd hole, that drivable 4. But I wanted to actually shout out Kevin Komarski, who eagled 10 both rounds.
I saw that.
Which
Man,
is-
that's
yeah.
real deal. Yeah.
Yeah, that is. Not often you see more than a multiple eagle foray, if you will.
It looked like I see the pain in your voice having to say that too with your ex-partner. It's all it's always tough being a jaded ex.
It is. Yeah, he's on the greener pastures for sure.
Yeah,
so
he's
that's a shame.
Different trajectories, right?
Yeah, way different trajectories.
he just got his six packs coming in the form. You got your big belly coming in, right? Like,
I'm such a slob, man.
You guys are both 7s at one point. He's like a 9. You're just like, yeah, you're hanging on to like a 5 at this point.
I'm
maybe.
such a slob. Yeah, but I thought that. Given I think another note too was the afternoon wave. I think there was a lot of wind in the afternoon of that first round too, and I think that kind of reflected in the scores too. It seemed like most of the guys, if you were following the leaders kind of in the afternoon, a lot of guys in that afternoon were outside the cut line. It was almost like you could make the cut even before everyone was finished too, and the wind kind of told the story there as well.
Yeah, no, you're right. That afternoon, it seemed like a lot of guys hopped on that bogey train on the back 9 in that afternoon.
Yeah,
just kind of just
a lot of tickets
leaking shots.
Of the Express.
A
A lot of tickets on that Express out there.
Anything else to add with the analytics?
No, I think that's it. I think we saw pretty low scores. I was honestly surprised Gap didn't play it all the way back to the full 6,900.
Yeah,
the whole time.
Especially if it's playing firm, you think?
Yeah,
for
sure. You can really just huck balls down there way further when it's bouncing like that.
We just played with Ben Kaiser earlier this morning, and he's telling me that, and he's like me, good drive 280 or whatever, right? He's not an overly long guy, and even he was only hitting less than driver on most holes, he said, because it was so firm. It was like, you just get something out there 240 and running that's going to roll out to 280, 290.
Yeah.
So it seems like, like you said, surprising that they didn't play it a little farther back, I guess, especially for the Open. They certainly played it far back for that Open qualifier at Jericho.
Oh my God. Seriously, he was playing 200 yards longer at that Jericho qualifier than at Applebrook, and Jericho is a bit softer.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I think we talked to a couple people who were played in both the qualifier there and at Applebrook, and they said that Jericho was significantly harder.
Because Jericho had the softer fairways, but the greens were still very firm, right?
Which is always a hard combination.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you have those green surrounds that are soft, and you can't really predict the bounce coming in, right?
Yeah.
You land it short and it squishes, but then you land it on the green and it catapults to the back.
Right, yeah.
The other thing I want to mention that we heard with Applebrook was no practice rounds.
Yeah.
How does that sit with you?
It doesn't sit very well with me, right? Even still, we were looking at the Gap Day 1 notebook, and we saw he interviewed, I believe, one of the young fellows that was clubhouse leader after one round, and he kind of made a comment saying, "Hey, it would have been really great to see this place one time before getting out there and playing." Obviously,
a lot of blind tee shots, right?
Right.
Like
some nuances and some kind of placement that you want to figure out. Right, there's some weird holes. I don't love that, if I'm being honest.
I just don't understand. To me, that's assumed if you're having a championship, you got to give the players a chance to get a peek at the course.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
It really is just flat out unacceptable. I think, I'm not saying you have to open up your tee sheet, for the whole week or whatever, but even if you just give one day, hey, at Tuesday the 20th, you can come out after 1 o'clock and we have the whole, right? Like just walk and carry. Walk and carry. If you want to ride the course and check it out, whatever. That's your one day. If you can't make it, sorry, right? Then it's like, hey, it is what it is.
We extended the right, the option.
Right.
But just like no practice runs under any circumstance,
it just seems odd.
Yeah.
Very odd.
Yeah.
And very off-putting, to be honest. But
I
know we're not the only ones that feel this way. Look, we didn't play in the championship, so it didn't bother us.
Yeah.
We're almost speaking for other people we talked to who didn't get a chance to play the course.
Sure.
When you get a 36-hole event and it's that bunched together, someone could make the case that, who shot 3 under and never saw the course could have won the tournament if they saw the course, right? It's that
The margins are so thin out there.
Well, it's like the British Open going on this week. If that's a 36-hole event and like half the guys never seen the place, I mean,
Yeah, what do we have? Daniel Brown up at the
yeah,
top.
if
Like,
he never played the course, you think he'd be winning? Like, it's
Yeah.
just no, it's just very, very, very odd. But we'll leave it at that. Hopefully, some courses in the future, when they do agree to host a major, at least give the guys a chance to get a peek.
Yeah, totally agree.
You want to talk about some stuff we've played in? Or we haven't really even played in much? I mean, the only thing I played in was the Old York Invitational,
Yeah,
which is always a good time.
right. If you want to give a quick plug for that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the Old York Invitational is always a fun one. I mean, I think it gets a good group of guys, and the cocktail tour, as they call it, I think it's the second stop on the cocktail tour.
Yep.
And, dude, I will say this, right? I want to come out in air and say this because I really... I'm officially made up my mind. When I played Old York the first time, right, was for that Gap Mid-Am, when it was just goofy golf, when it was concrete and the pin setups were tough, and I never saw the place, blind, I was blind, and I remember not speaking too highly of it. I don't think I ever said it was bad or anything, but I just said like it wasn't my favorite course or whatever. And then last year I played it in the Invitation, and I was like, oh, this place it's better than I remember, but I still... After playing these 2 rounds, I officially love the place.
Really?
I'm saying it. I love it. It's so good. I played 2 separate rounds, right, of golf, like the way I actually, golf my ball around. I shot 72 the first round and 84 the second round. And it's just so cool to see a course that, like, every shot, like the way the greens were the perfect firmness, where they were just that firm first bounce. Where out of the rough, if you got one toppling, it's going to bounce over the green. But if you hit the proper shot from the fairway, it's one bouncing and stopping, right? And out there, just to see the half shots accumulate into a wider score was really, it's every shot that makes you think. There's so much you can do with the pin positions and the angles coming into the greens, and it's just there's so much good out there. And yeah, I'll stand corrected. I think it's a great golf course. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, and I mean, hats off to them. You've always raved about it. I couldn't make it this year. I'll end up probably playing in it next year. You've sold me on it enough, and I think given my schedule next year, I'm going to make it work. But yeah, just another course in the dead of summer that has provided some great conditions.
Conditions were fantastic out there. I mean, I can't speak highly enough of how much better the conditions were out there compared to the South Jersey region that we've been touring the last month or so.
Right.
Where we've seen conditions really soften up.
Yes.
And it just always seems like the grass is a little greener on that side of the Delaware.
Yeah, it's like mystical almost, right? It's like this brave new world over there, as opposed to when you cross the river and you just the difference is just really it's gotten pretty wide over the last month.
And then you go up to North Jersey and you might as well be on another
Yeah,
planet.
forget
That's a
about
whole
that.
other planet, right?
We can get into that later.
Yeah,
we'll get into that later.
But what do you think that is, right? The disparity between South Jersey, then Philly, then up to North Jersey. I mean, how much of it do you think is a money thing, and how much of it do you think it's a standard?
I don't know. It has to be something. It has to be an amalgamation of everything, right? I think certainly some of it has to do with standard. Definitely speaking for the North Jersey courses, they set a high standard. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, to quote Mike Tomlin, the standard is the standard, right? That's really what it is up there.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that there's no standard down in South Jersey, but there is a clear and obvious standard in North Jersey.
Yes.
It's very explicit.
Well, I think this is what it is, and I think I just thought of this with you saying that. But I've heard the murmurs of some places around here, and the direction from committees and owners is, hey, just don't lose the greens, right? You don't lose the greens, your job's safe.
Defense.
Whereas up there, they're like, if I come here and bring guests out on a Sunday morning, these things aren't 12s, like, now your head's on a chopping block.
Right, I wasted my time.
I don't care if we lose
to
the
show off my course.
Right, we're gonna give you the chance to turn up the dial on this place, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna take the handcuffs off. Whereas down here, it's like, it gets a little warm, and
right.
I mean, it's been really warm.
I'm
not. Look, we understand that courses aren't going to be like an Applebrook. That would be unrealistic in South Jersey, and I get that, right?
Yeah.
But there's no reason you shouldn't be going out on a Sunday morning and be putting 8.5s, right? And the fairways are crap, right?
Yeah.
And the bunker surrounds are fried, right? Like,
yeah.
There's we kind of know what we think it should be.
Yeah. Just because we have a lot of reference points, like not very far away. So,
Yeah, we've been playing this game a while. We play it all over. Speaking of playing all over, Hudson National.
Yeah.
You want to take that?
Sure. Yeah, so not every day you get to play a top 100 course, but kudos to you. We got out there for a foursome. What was that? A couple weeks ago. Yeah, Hudson National. They just redid the course back in the winter, and so yeah, we kind of got a semi first look at it. Right? When did they open for play? Kind of in March or April? Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
I think May. I think
the HUD, as they refer to it as, right? And us being the idiots we are, we played it from all the way back, right? Just got shot in the face, like all the way around.
Right off the first tee.
Right, got shot in the face.
Right in the crosshairs, yeah.
Just I knocked a foul ball off the Harry the K's awning in the shit left. I was immediately dropping. But yeah, that is a really... it's like Faz's wet dream. It's like just the ultimate Faz piece, right? That's his magnum opus. Right.
You could just see him just pushing the dynamite stick, right? Like,
right, just spreading all the M80s around, right, and just taking just all of the joy, right, that goes into just moving dirt around, right. He really took pride in just all of the heightened elements, like land elements there.
Yeah, just completely disrupting that canvas. So you could just see him just having an absolute ball there.
Sure.
And yeah, it's funny you say that on the first hole you hit that foul ball, and then on the second hole I hit that ball right, and that guy goes, "That's a reload, bud." The caddy,
we did have some good caddies out there.
We had some really, it was an interesting experience, but yeah, we were certainly we had a few retees out there, but yeah, that place is tough, man. Yeah, that's a championship golf course.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah. For folks that haven't played it, just think about like the ridge at Backbrook, and then just like amplified, like to like times 10. Right, conditions, landscape, just the whole thing, vibe,
aura, just everything,
difficulty, right? Kind of everything is just amplified.
Yeah,
right. It's basically the ridge with like New York money.
Yeah,
right, just to the nth degree.
And to that point, you can only love the place so much.
Yeah,
right. It's a good golf course, no doubt about it. It's the whole championship. You would say sure, like you can't really think of more of a championship test that I've ever played.
Right.
But from playing it every day, I wouldn't want to play that course very often, right? Maybe a few times a year. It's long, it beats you up. Yeah. And it's one of those courses you kind of have to play from the back tees, right, to have the appropriate landing areas and the appropriate bunkering.
Yeah.
But with that comes just a lot of long irons and just a lot of pantsing, right?
Yeah.
Out there, right? Like you get exposed, pretty early and often out there.
Yeah, and even with the restoration happens, I think. Even out there, I think some of the holes are still not that improved. I think we called out the fifth hole as being really not very good.
That's a bad golf hole.
The third hole is not very good. Maybe I just played it the wrong way.
I think 3 is one of those holes that would grow on you after a while if you kept playing it. But I agree. I always like to judge a hole the first time you play it, right? Because it shouldn't take somebody 10 times to acquire a taste.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it took you 3 times to get Old York Road, which I think is enough for what it's worth.
Yeah, I think more of that was conditioning based, though. I do think that because that course, when it was playing the way it was at the Gap Mid-Am, was just so goofy, right?
Just way too.
It wasn't.
Windy.
The way those greens are. I mean, to have those that rock hard in 12s and have pins in crazy spots and never play the course before.
Yeah.
It's just you feel like just a little bit lost out there. But agreed, yeah. I mean, certainly there's some courses, and that's why I said Old York was rare because that's almost never happened to me where I go from really not liking a course to loving it. All right, so I don't know if that's genius or not. Maybe you're right. Maybe I gotta reshape my palate here a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. 3, like you said, stuff. But there's some good golf holes. out there.
Yeah.
The problem with it is it's one of those courses I look at it, and if I'm judging it from, and I think we're able to at least visualize this where you can see that the hole's a great hole for a tour player, right? It's like playing a Pete Dye course. It's like going to TPC Sawgrass, and you're like, oh yeah, man, this 14th hole from the tips, like awesome hole for a pro golfer.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
But for me, not good, For the average scratch handicap. Yeah, the par 4.
Oh, the
par 490 par 4, whatever. Like, we're going to have 220 in there, right? And be trying to hit I'm just saying when those guys have a 6 or 7 iron, you're like, yeah, this hole makes sense.
Right.
There's just a bunch of stuff like that at Hudson. I felt like where
there's a lot of technical skiing out there.
Well, like that one hole, you have to hit a towering high cut in over the water. The one that I had a good drive on and actually had the right approach shot.
That's 14, the par 5.
Oh, I was talking about TPC Sawgrass.
Oh, okay.
You want to see for a second?
The point remains.
Yes, same thing. Where it's like, yeah, sure, Hideki Matsuyama hitting the high cut in here. What a great challenge that is for him. Like me, like you might as well just. Yeah,
it gets so silly just hitting the drive out and then butting 9 iron down.
Yeah, it's just like in a stroke play, I would never feel good about trying to hit a 245 cut into this peninsula green, right? It's just so. But yeah, it was a good place, good day. Have you played anywhere else recently?
Yeah, I was up. I played a practice round for the U.S. Mid-Am qualifier that we have coming up at Hackensack. Charles Banks.
Yes.
Just to the nth degree there. Talk about North Jersey places. I mean, that's
quintessential.
I know you're a big Banks guy, but template holes out the wazoo. Great fescue, great vibe. Good caddies there. They have 75 caddies on staff there. What a robust program.
Factory.
Yeah, it's really great. I love the sandstone clubhouse. It's really just a North Jersey vibe.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just immaculate details and just an excellent assortment of championship holes.
It's weird with use of the North Jersey vibe, and when it comes to the actual vibe of North Jersey, I couldn't be more detached from that, but I couldn't be more attached to the North Jersey Country Club vibe. Right. I love it, man. It's my favorite. Like I can't wait to go to Hackensack. Like you said, it's like all those clubs up there just scream that. Like it's just something. I don't know what it is. I can't capture it in words, but it's just different up there. Yeah, and I really I think of like Essex, I think of that, I think of Plainfield,
Hollywood,
Ridgewood,
Somerset.
North Jersey Country Club. Just everything's. It just seems like the charm up there is just something different. But
charm and innovation.
Yes,
I think some of the
the combination.
It's very Charles Banks has some avant-garde stuff going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Shared fairways, principal nose bunkers, interesting bunkering, steep faces, severity, and like angles.
Yep.
It's a bold and great golf course. A lot of fun to play.
It's a shame Banks didn't get a chance to design more golf courses. He doesn't have many to his name, but everything I've ever played from him is very good. Mm-hmm. I love the dramatic bunkering. Mm-hmm. I love things in golf that appear more fearful to the eye than they really are. Mm-hmm. And that's how his courses always play. Like the bunkers look scary, but they play fine. Versus the opposite when something looks completely fine and then you get in here and you're like, this doesn't make sense, right?
Right.
Like a little bathtub bunker. And you get caught up and you can't even take a backswing in the back of it, right? Stuff like that. Like his bunker's all funneled at the center. You may have a deep shot coming out, but chances are you're going to have a flat line. It's going to be a fair golf shot.
Right.
And I really like that. And I just think they look just so visually appealing.
Yeah. And it's a lot different than the classic Philadelphia courses we're playing, Ross, Flynn, sort of those kind of meat and potatoes places. It's a different look.
Yeah, as much as I love Flynn, I don't love his bunkering. I never have. I don't like the rolling edges and that kind of. I like the more dramatic, rugged look. Mm-hmm. Not as much of the Augusta look, and it's not my favorite. But would you loved Hackensack?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's like a really good test. I think it's really good for the modern game too. It seems like all of the bunkers are like right in the range, right, where you kind of have to take driver out of your hands a lot, right, but not too much, right, but you can always challenge and hit a great shot and hit over them. But I think it's just so well thought out and very strategic. So
without having crazy hazards and out of bounds and just silly stuff going on, just old classic thinking shots, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the front nine, the one critique of the place is the front nine kind of runs along the property line for the most of it, and you kind of get lulled to sleep there. Mm-hmm. But as soon as you get off the property line on some of those holes, and the back kind of is in the meat in the middle of the property, it's absolutely amazing.
That's a la Flynn, right?
Yeah.
Get the property line over with, traverse it on the front, and then kick you back and forth in the center to finish. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, what you might as well get. You don't want your last hole with houses up the right side, obviously, right?
Yeah. I would say, and to that point, I think probably the best duo of 9th and 18th holes on a golf course I think I've played. Mm-hmm. Par 4s, up the hill, clubhouse behind, great bunkering, great visual. I think it's really, really good.
You could do split tees in the Am there, right?
I
you
know.
wouldn't be finishing on a 100-yard par 3. Both of those holes are suitable finishing holes.
Exceptional. Yeah, I can't even decide which one I like more. Right, 9's great, 18, and they share kind of a bunker complex too. It's all well thought out.
Yeah, it's cool. So we have that next week, and then we're right in the thick of club championship season.
Yeah.
You have anything to add there?
No, no one really wants to hear about my just total collapse in the club championship qualifier, failing to make match play. No excuses there at all. We're on to Cincinnati, as Bill Belichick would say. But I do just want to bring up one thing. I know we litigated maybe last year about what we like and dislike about club championship season. I think we both really get a kick out of like the whole quote unquote air quotes, I'm making air quotes, the tuning up for the club championship vibe, where you're in the club group me, right? You see the group chat, like we know our club championship is in July, and then you kind of see the drip of like, hey, I'm playing the one tees this weekend. Let's play the one tees this weekend, the back tees. Like you see it in the weeks and
back
weeks
tee
come
games
up.
all of a sudden.
The back tee games. We're tuning up for the club championship, right? And to me, I mean, going to the back tee, it's like you're putting one or two more long irons in your hands, right? We're not going to the back tee of Hudson National where it's like just going to get wild, right? This is.
Yeah, Riverton, you're basically doing a 5-yard back pedal, right?
Yeah, it's. I just get a kick out of that stuff. It's so funny to me that there's a perceived big difference in the back tees,
right?
Whereas when you really go out and do it, it's just like, yeah, the shots are.
It's not going to make any difference, is your point,
right? It's not going to.
It's not really preparing you for anything.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. The back tees are. It's obviously much longer, and not much longer, but it's longer, right? And you have some different shots, right? But that's not going to really change the end result at the end of the day.
No.
Right. Yeah. You getting.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. You getting one more 4-iron in your hand is not. That's not going to be the difference of you winning a match and losing a match. So I always get a kick out of that.
No, the club championship season's always funny. There's always funny storylines going on. It's kind of when everyone at the club comes together, and it just seems like there's always goofy stuff going on. I'm disappointed. This is the first year in my entire life that I've never played a club championship.
Okay.
So being in between clubs, I'm at Little Mill now, and their club championship already started, and then Riverton's, you guys were doing your thing. So
and that being said, I basically didn't play in the club championship either.
No.
So I mean,
no, that was
essentially no show.
Yeah, that was sad, honestly. That really was tough. But
Yeah.
like you said, on to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Some other events that took place since we last recorded, the Jersey Am was held at Forest Hills up in North Jersey. And unfortunately, just the redhead stepchild of just such a good championship lineup this year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, almost anybody would have been in that 4 out of 4 spot there with Plainfield, Hollywood, and Union League National. And the Forest Hill, I didn't play out there, and it seemed like everybody that played that I talked to said kind of the same thing, right? It didn't seem to really get, and not taking anything away from the winner, right? Like the shot value didn't really seem to be there, right? The scores were extremely low, right?
Yeah.
It seemed like you can kind of blast all over the place, right? There was a couple, dicey drives, but other than that, it was pretty open. The greens were fairly benign in the sense like they were in the 10 to 11 range. So we've seen those before. It just kind of turns into more of a putting contest than anything.
Yeah, so what we had, Reed Greiserman at the top. I'm assuming he's related to Max Greiserman, who torched Canoebrook.
Yep.
I think that course is still burning from his treatment of that in the U.S. Open sectional. But yeah, Reed Greiserman, 14 under par, winning by 3 shots. 64, 66, 68, 72 for 270. That's pretty unrelatable.
Yeah, and really an impressive win because I think, and this is not taking anything away from the players in Gap. We have tremendous players in Gap, right? But Jersey seems to always have a couple guys that play in that stuff that are like world-class players. Like Mark Costanza was in that field. I mean, he's a world-class mid-amateur golfer, right? So certainly a really strong win. But at that course, just everything about it seemed like not championship. They had their range was maxed out at 150 yards.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Their finish is par 3, par 4, par 3, 16, 17, 18.
Ooh.
I mean, some really just kind of odd stuff going on out there. It just feels so weird to me finishing a major on a par 3.
Yeah, I don't.
And it's not even like overly
yeah.
challenging. It's just kind of like a 170-yard hole. It's just kind of like overly challenging. It's just kind of like a 170-yard hole. It's just weird. I remember following it, and I think he had a 2-shot lead going into the last hole. I'm like, oh wait, maybe he'll be able to. Oh, that's right. Never mind.
Yeah, he's got an 8-iron in his hand.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, interestingly enough, it was a par 71 out there. Scoring average was 74.3 for the week.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty close to
Applebrook numbers,
you know, and we had 11 guys in par or better at Forest Hills. I think there are probably more, if I had to guess, at Applebrook. But again, just looking at the scores here, Reed, for the entire 4 rounds, he made 0 double bogeys. He made 20 birdies and 2 eagles.
That's impressive.
I think I'm way more impressed by the 0 double bogeys.
Yeah.
For 4 rounds. For an amateur golfer.
Yeah, I think you'll find a lot of cards like that, though. I think, like, not a lot, but just because of the course, and that's kind of the point. Like, it wasn't overly troublesome off the tee. But no, anytime you can go, fairly clean like that through 72 holes is always impressive.
Yeah, I'm looking at it
I think
right
Troy
now.
went clean, too, or, clean from doubles.
Yeah, he did as well. But yeah,
A few guys,
anytime,
but
anytime you can
anything
get around there, it's just,
It's a game we don't know too well.
No.
But yeah, I wonder if Reed will try to go the pro route like his brother. That's definitely a talented family. His brother Dean's a really good player too. I think he plays for Stanford.
Oh man.
So those guys are loaded with talent.
Yeah, it seems like the guys that really play well in those Jersey Opens kind of go right to the pro circuit. Louis Kelly went to the pro circuit, right? Chris Gotterup as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Louis actually came back after the pro circuit and won the Jersey Open, but he was on the pro circuit at one point.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, I agree. There seems like obviously what Shattuck's done around here has almost been an outlier, right?
Yeah.
As far as playing in the PGA and winning the club, the national club, right?
Right.
Up there, like you said, it seems like it's more people transcending to level up to the next, kind of on the up and up. What else do we got coming up?
We have
Mosellum.
We have Mosellum Springs. Like we said, we're doing the Mid-Am, U.S. Mid-Am at Hackensack qualifier. That'll be fun. But yeah, we're doing Patterson Cup at Mosellum, making the drive out there. Thank God we don't have a morning tee time. That would have blown.
I went out there one time. I forgot how far it is. It felt more closer to like an hour and 20, and I put it in my GPS, and I'm like 2 hours.
Yeah, it's too clean.
I don't know how I'm gonna hold up on that ride, man. I'm not doing too well in cars these days. My back's really been getting tight. Yeah, we're gonna have to make a pit stop on that on that turnpike.
Yeah, it's a far drive, but I think it's a great qualifying course. I think it's really everything you would want in a gap qualifier.
It is good.
Kind of generous off the tee, great conditions, fun, stimulating shots, good landscape. Hopefully the weather holds up.
Man, that place, that's a top 200 property to me.
Oh
you could put a really, really good golf course on that property.
Yeah, it's great.
It's almost like the course is good despite itself.
Right.
It's got good holes, don't get me wrong, but it's just because it's on such a beautiful piece of land, like you almost couldn't design a bad course on that piece of property.
I know. I would say honestly a top 5 vibe for me. Like, how well do you know the golf course?
I played there once. So
okay.
I remember. I
feel like it's
pretty well.
Top 5 vibe for me on any golf course I've been on is back on that first green by the farmland back there. Mm-hmm. That's just such a idyllic scene. Yeah. It's just so still out there. Same with that long par 5 along the back part of the property that goes up the hill. I think it's like 7. I think it's 7 is the par 5.
I love that back
when
there.
You're just
that's
standing
nice.
on top there. And
that's
just like
really,
you just have the entire central Pennsylvania landscape to look down on. That's awesome.
Heavenly.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited to go out there. It's kind of, once again, the season's almost done, right? I mean, that's the last major. Then we kind of run into, like you said, the Mid-Am, U.S. Mid-Am, and then the 4-ball and a few other fun events in August, some other 4-ball stuff. But it comes and goes.
Yep. Another one down. So we got to make the most of it in the stretch run here.
Yeah, I like to do something before the year's over.
Yeah.
Something good outside of just like the random good round.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. That's less fulfilling.
It's kind of like not. Yeah, when there's no consistency surrounding a good round, then it kind of feels somewhat meaningless.
Yeah, I agree.
There's that's not going to really do anything for you ever in golf, right?
No.
Anything else you got?
That's all I had on my end.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else either. Quick episode. We'll try to regroup here in a couple weeks, see if we have anything good to talk about.
Right. Yeah, probably not, but let's see. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm still somewhat hopeful. But I'm also ready to just check out and go right to the beach at this point.
August will do that to you.
It really does. It's that period of time where it's really hard to get up to play golf.
Sure.
After just these hot days and the conditioning's going downhill, and it's like just get me to the fall, man. Get me to football season.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again. We will catch up with you guys soon.
Thanks.
Welcome to the Slammers Podcast. This podcast, its authors, and its hosts are not in any way